The situation on ground zero at 3 different borders around Delhi, India today has the biggest team of reporters on ground zero. I have Milan Sharma joining me, Aishwarya Paliwal and Amit Bharadwaj. We'll come to our reporters, but before that, quickly take a look at this report filed by India Today's Satyendra Chauhan at the height of the protests and police action.
शंभू बॉर्डर पर एक बार फिर से धमाकों की आवाज सुनाई दे रही। तस्वीरें देखिए आप, चारों तरफ धुआं धुआं है, आंसू गैस के गोले लगातार छोड़े जा रहे हैं, भगदड़ मची हुई है। तस्वीर आप देखिए किस तरीके से भीड़ को काबू करने के लिए पुलिस द्वारा टीयर गैस सेल का इस्तेमाल किया जा रहा है। एक बार भीड़ को आगे किया जाता है, फिर पीछे भीड़ को पीछे छोड़ा जाता है, भीड़ फिर आगे आ जाती है। तकरीबन 2 घंटे से लगातार इस तरह के हालात यहाँ पर बने हुए हैं, जहाँ पर पुलिस भीड़ को काबू करने की कोशिश करती है, लेकिन भीड़ और बेकाबू हो रही है। तस्वीर आप देखिए, यहाँ पर लगातार टीयर गैस के सेल छोड़े जा रहे हैं। देखिए तस्वीरें किस तरीके से यहाँ पर माहौल तनावपूर्ण बना हुआ है। शंभू बॉर्डर पर हालात लगातार बेकाबू होते जा रहे हैं। लगातार धमाकों की आवाज आप सुन सकते हैं। ड्रोन से और गनों से लगातार टीयर गैस के सेल यहाँ पर फेंके जा रहे हैं। आसमान में आप देख सकते हैं, ये ड्रोन है और इस ड्रोन से टीयर गैस सेल फेंके जा रहे हैं। इसके अलावा आप देखिए, ये जो धुआं उठ रहा है, लगातार ये धमाकों की आवाज आपको सुनाई दे रही है। पुलिस किसानों को, प्रदर्शनकारियों को रोकने के लिए लगातार टीयर गैस सेल का इस्तेमाल कर रही है। कुल मिलाकर जितनी स्थिति को संभालने की कोशिश की जाती है, हालात उतने ही बिगड़ रहे हैं। और यहाँ पर लगातार ये जो धमाकों की आवाजें हैं, माहौल को तनावपूर्ण बना रही हैं और स्थिति को कहीं ना कहीं चिंताजनक बना रही हैं।
Now, this is the situation on the Sambhu border, which is between Punjab and Haryana. What's the situation at Delhi's borders? Milan Sharma at Ghazipur, Aishwarya Paliwal at Tikri. Milan, Sambhu border, the situation remained precarious, remains tense, but what's Delhi bracing for?
Well, Gaurav, as you rightly said, Delhi is bracing for a few more days of traffic jams in the morning, because the barricading behind me that you can see will not move at all, whether it's Ghazipur border, Tikri border, as well as Singhu border, which is perhaps going to be the next flashpoint of the farmers' protest, as well as the Delhi police, because you heard that statement from Delhi police clearly saying that don't be on the defensive if the farmers become aggressive, use tear gas shells, use force on them, because at any point they don't want them to breach that Singhu border at least. And we saw images of farmers, moving barricades from the Sambhu border this morning, and the continuous tear gas shelling has still not stopped them, because their demand is to move towards Delhi as the MSP law talks have failed. And on the part of the government, they are making sure that the farmers are not able to breach borders from anywhere.
Okay.
So at the Ghazipur border also, since we are showing you since the morning, there's been a lot of traffic, but the government is trying all its best to make sure commuter movement happens. But we have heard a lot of people complain, especially car drivers who are complaining that there have been jams for over 3 to 4 hours throughout the day. But let me tell you, Delhi has to brace for more of these in the next few days, and there will be no respite as the farmers progressively move in from Sambhu all the way to Singhu.
And this is the time when you also have school children who are preparing for their board examination. And this is the time when long traffic jams are being feared. But Aishwarya, this is a situation where farmers apparently have modified tractors. Explain to us what these modified tractors are and what's the apprehension, what's the fear?
Bus. First, let me tell you what exactly is taking place at the Tikri border. I'll show you visuals. These are live visuals showing you the way in which the Tikri border at the moment is being sealed. The crane now being used. The idea is to make sure that cemented, barricaded borders, barbed wires are being used. And now almost the final stages of making sure that the Tikri border is almost completely sealed. The visuals that you're seeing here on India Today are coming to you from the Tikri border. The police personnel present here, in fact, let me tell you, just a couple of minutes back, the Delhi police chief, the Delhi police commissioner was also on the spot. He inspected the entire situation, and now With this, Gaurav, the sealing of the Tikri border is almost complete. The Delhi police very clearly has given out a statement just in case the farmers use violent means, then police will also be forced rather to use force and to be violent and to make sure that they use tear gas. And this is a message that has been given out by the Delhi police and here at the Tikri border just to make sure that farmers do not cross over. That's the reason why you are seeing, the sealing of the Tikri border now taking place. This container now
what's
being
the
put
government
in place,
strategy?
Gaurav,
We heard Union Minister Arjun Munda talk about an effort being made to find a solution through talks. Are talks happening? There's also court intervention that has been sought by some. What's the ground position on that?
Well, the government obviously, today the government also in the court very clearly said that they are willing to have a conversation with the farmers, and that's exactly what two union ministers tried doing last night also. From what we are understanding, the meeting went on for almost 6 hours, Gaurav. Now, that's no less of a time, but the farmers very stringent on their stand, steadfastly standing with the stand and saying that we have waited enough, we have waited for almost 2 years, we don't believe you, and now we want to have a conversation with the Prime Minister, want to come to the national capital. But we did see what took place on the Singhu border. The Delhi police, the authorities, the government a little apprehensive of the farmers in large numbers coming to the national capital. That's the reason why we are seeing one after the other. All the borders are now being sealed. The government, however, still extending an olive branch, Gaurav, and saying that we are still at the moment willing to make sure that doors are open for more talks in future. Gaurav.
And Milan, why is it that the government is not permitting farmers to come in and protest? Even the High Court asked that question. How can they be stopped at the borders? They have a right to protest at a location. Or is there an apprehension that there could be a repeat of the Red Fort incident?
Well, Gaurav, as you pointed out rightly, that is the apprehension, because you remember scenes from the 26th January Red Fort where a lot of farmers were actually inside Delhi and a lot of vandalism took place near the Red Fort area. But having said that, the last time the farmers came to Delhi, the farmer unions that were leading that protest were separate from the ones leading the protest now. This is Kisan Mazdoor Manch and the non-political wing of SKM. The other political wing of the Samyukt Kisan Morcha hasn't still chimed in or whether or not they want to be part of this particular protest. But of course, the scenes that were played out in Delhi the last time when we were covering this protest in 2020, 2021 is enough for the government as well as the Delhi police to be on guard. And therefore, they will do everything in their power to stop the farmers at the Singhu border itself. For 13 months, the farmers were at the Singhu border. They say that the MSP law was promised and that was not adhered to later on by the government. Of course, that time the issue was more about the 3 farm laws which the farmers wanted rolled back, which the government did roll back, in fact. But now the point is come to the MSP law as well as other demands that the farmers are making, which the government feels may not be economically viable to give, especially the Swaminathan committee report, which is now under discussion now. The C2 plus 50% is a difficult conundrum even for the government, and even getting them out of the electricity bills that the farmers have to pay. They're also talking about giving farmers pensions. So all these things will require the government to maneuver the exchequer funds and find out whether it's even possible. And that would put a lot of pressure on the taxpayers' money as well. And these are the reasons that the government
and
is giving at
Aishwarya,
this
keep
point
tracking
of time.
that story. Milan, and I want to quickly cut across because Aishwarya